So what is that they are so insecure about? Now, insecurity is what made them to let go of three leaders in this church. The first leader, I want to mention the names of these leaders. The first leader, Praveen, who was the worship leader. The second one, Pastor Ashirwad Kumar. And third is me. Now, in between, a lot of staff also left, but they were insecure. Why are they insecure? What makes them so insecure? Now, in both of the cases, with respect to Praveen and Ashirwad, now these two are people-oriented. Now, they had a calling for people. They are somebody who loves to spend time with people. People love to go and talk to them, which is the otherwise with your Pastor Chaitanya and Janet. Have you any time felt that they are very pleasing or approachable? They are not. And when people go to them, the other folks, they were insecure. And I don't know much, I don't want to talk much about Praveen, but I want to talk about Pastor Ashirwad Kumar here. Now, the reason why Pastor Ashirwad Kumar left this church is not because he had a vision that was instigated or was told by your Pastor Chaitanya and the leadership team to tell him that you have to tell and move on. Now, there are a lot of things happen which I don't want to talk about all these things, but the main reason why he has to go is because your Pastor Chaitanya and Janet were insecure that he will grow and he will grow better than them. Now, one of the things that I noticed in this church is your Pastor Chaitanya and Janet never wanted anyone to grow in their church apart from them who are working under them. Now, you might ask, how can you say that? Now, here is it. As per the AGs, any person who working in the AG, now they get credentials. You know, certain period of time you get credentials like field worker and pastor, and then something else, and then they'll give reverend. Now, Pastor Ashirwad Kumar worked in this church for 9 years. Now, when he left the church, what was he? Nothing. None of you know, church, how he was treated by Pastor Chaitanya and Janet. You don't know the kind of accusations they made on him. You don't know the struggles that he went through. Now, was that his vision to start a church? No, it was not. It was told by Pastor Chaitanya, you should start a church, move on. And one of the reasons that he mentioned to a couple of leadership team members is this, that I have to choose between my wife and Ashirwad Kumar, and I have to choose my wife. I don't understand why we get family into church, but I don't want to comment anything on it. But insecurity is what they made let go of Pastor Ashirwad. Now, the reason they said is that we have to pay so much for Tabernacle. We are paying so much rent, and for Gachibowli we are paying rent. That's why we are moving out. But they moving to Lemon Tree. Do you know the reason? Do you know the hidden agenda or the hidden reason behind it, church? Because your Pastor Chaitanya got to know that AGs, New Life AG and Hope UC are coming to High-Tech City, and that made him insecure because Tabernacle was in interiors of Madhapur, and it was not that reachable, and they want to make it in a place where people can come. That's one of the reasons. Now, how can you say that, Selvin? Now, a couple of times I heard your Pastor Chaitanya telling me personally that I'm concerned about it. Now, if you all remember in Lemon Tree, one of those we were thinking of moving out of Lemon Tree, and we were searching for places, and we did find one of the place in Gachibowli. And when we went to that place, one of the worship team members was also there with us, and we went to see the place. We saw the place, and your pastor made the statement, the place is good, the spot is good. The only concern that I have is we moving out of Lemon Tree might not be a good thing, good choice, because New Life AG is coming to High-Tech. They're planning to start a branch in High-Tech City, and Hope UC is also planning to start a branch. The moment we leave Lemon Tree, New Life AG will come and occupy Lemon Tree. That is the only concern that I have. Deep in my heart, I was laughing about it, and I was like, why are you so insecure? Tell me one person in this church whom you went and called them to come to your church. My point here is, didn't God bring everybody into this church? Now, when you have a kingdom calling, you will not feel insecure. When your calling is not kingdom work, when your calling is driven by something else, that is when you feel insecure. That is when you feel insecure. When anybody below you, anybody in your team becomes closer to people, they feel insecure. They felt insecure that Ashirwad Kumar was getting closer. Now, you got to understand, church, anybody else, apart from any believer in the church, who calls anybody else apart from them to their house or make them pray for them, they feel insecure. I want to mention one of the incidents which happened with me personally. One of the church members called us for their housewarming ceremony, and we went because they asked me to sing or lead worship in the housewarming ceremony, and Pastor Chaitanya was also there. And after the ceremony is done, we had lunch, and when we are going back home, they gave us offering to both Pastor Chaitanya and to us. Now, I don't want to take the offering. I told him, no, I cannot. But they insisted, take it because we want to bless you. The moment I took the offering, your Pastor Janet's face was not pleasant. And I know what kind of expression is that, because I had a previous experience with that. I will talk about it. They felt insecure, and in my assumption, I'm sure that it would have haunted both of them, like how much offering was given to Selvin, how much offering would he got. That made them insecure. They are always insecure. When we go talk to people in the church, when we go closer to people, they always observe whom we are talking to, and they feel insecure. Why they are so insecure? What is the driving factor which makes them to value more than people in the church? Which is one of the reasons why, these are the reasons, or the insecurity that they have, that they let go of the previous leaders. But they don't stop their church. They always talk negative about this. Even today they accuse Pastor Ashirwad Kumar on so many things which he has not done. He has been quiet. You don't know the struggles that he went through. I know it. After he left the church, he was struggling with finances, to a point that he has to stop his son's education. Is that how you treat your fellow believer? When as a church we can't even help somebody who wanted to do the ministry, who wanted to serve God, and we can't support him, that means you're not doing kingdom work. You're doing something else. And I want to ask this question to Chaitanya and Janet. How can you accuse so much even today? One of the accusations that they make is Pastor Ashirwad Kumar has got extramarital affairs. How can you do that? I'm sorry to say this. How dare you accuse my friend? Just because there is no one who can question you, you can talk whatever you want. Church, be careful and be mindful of whom you're following. Because they were insecure, they want to let go of us from this church. I'm going to talk about other incidents which happened in this church in detail in the next video. But I want to make only one statement here. As I think I already mentioned it. When your calling is not kingdom oriented, you feel insecure. If your calling is for people, no matter how many churches comes around High-Tech City, you will not feel insecure. No matter when people become close to, when believers become close to some of your church members or your pastoral team, you will not feel insecure. You feel insecure only when you're driven by money.